So why would I build something like this? I was so excited about building a cool computer that I just kept coming up with more and more ideas of what I could throw into it. And in the back of my head the whole time I was thinking, how can I make this the best thing possible? Like, if money's not an issue, what can I make? So like every time I compromised on something when I made this build, I immediately regretted it. And there's no reason to compromise, and it's awesome. I'm so excited about what we're about to do here. I want to just share with you a little bit of what I built, and I'm not going to go into like benchmarks and stuff today. The video would be too long. I'm going to share actual analysis I'm doing and show you how this computer is helping me to do that. That's it. So I'm just excited to share this build with you, and that's just the beginning of it. To me, this is the result. This is the art. This is the accomplishment. It's using an AMD Threadripper Pro 3975WX that has 32 cores and 64 threads, 128 lanes of PCIe Express Gen 4. Everything about this build is incredible. 8 channels of DDR4 memory. I'm running 258 gigabytes ECC registered DDR4 at 3200 megatransactions per second. I have several NVMe SSDs as well as an ASUS HyperX PCIe 4 card running 4 Samsung 980 EVOs. Combined in a RAID 0, it's reading at 21 gigabytes per second. 2 EVGA 3090 for the win 3 Ultra gaming GPUs. Now the cool thing about this motherboard and the CPU is they can handle both of those GPUs running at full PCI Express X16, so they're getting full bandwidth. This is all put together in a Fractal Meshify 2 XL. Power supply is a 1600 watt EVGA T2 power supply. I have custom CableMod cables running throughout the system. For cooling on the CPU, we're using a Noctua U14S TR4 SP3. It's a premium grade CPU cooler for the AMD Threadripper Pro. I am running the brown fans, and I went ahead and did brown fans throughout the case. You'll see here in a moment. I'm also, like I said, running 7 other Noctua PWM fans for the case. There's a lot of airflow in the system. This is essentially like a workstation server build with a lot of RAM, and I wanted to make sure that we had a lot of airflow going through it. I did set up all the fans to use the silencing cable adapters from Noctua so that I could bring down the fan volume. This computer's running right behind you right now, and you probably can barely hear it. There were some challenges building the system. I'm gonna go through some of those real quick. When I first built the system, I didn't buy any new case fans and the airflow was super low. My GPUs were getting hot. I did consider going with something like water cooling. I was right about to just make a purchase from EK to get a full custom loop for everything. I decided against it, mainly because of the reliability issue and the maintenance issue. I didn't like the idea that if I wanted to change things out, I had to shut off the water and make sure that it wasn't dripping. I didn't like having to check for water leaks. I didn't want to have to figure out if the water cooling was running or not. With fans, it's really easy. You can look at them, it's very visible. You can feel the airflow. You can move components around without having to recut any tubing. I feel like it's much more reliable, and in fact, if you look at most professional servers or workstations, they're generally running air cooling because it's a more reliable way of doing things. The only drawback with using the air cooling is that 2 3090 for the Win 3 Ultra gaming GPUs take up a lot of space, and it's actually kind of hard to get enough space between them to let them cool without one blowing hot air into the other. I do like the look of water cooling, especially the EK custom water cooling. It looks cool, it saves a lot of space. I think if I ever need to add more PCI cards into this workstation, I'm gonna have to go with water cooling just to make some space for more PCIe cards. Another challenge I had was using RAID 0. The The ASUS HyperX Gen 4 card comes with some drivers, but they're only available for Windows, and I wanted to also run RAID on Ubuntu. Now I might change that decision because now that I'm doing video editing and a lot of things in my Windows system, I think it'd be really great to have a super fast RAID disk, and this RAID setup using Ubuntu with software level RAID using MDadmin is getting 21 gigabytes per second read speeds. That's amazing. So I could throw some video on that disk and have super smooth playback in Premiere. It would be great. I'll have to try it out. I don't have anything really important on my RAID disk yet, so maybe I'll try that out next. With the RAID 0 running, I've already had 2 disk corrupts, and I've only been running this for about 2 weeks. So I'm a little concerned about the reliability of running RAID 0. I might go back to the cutting board and do something like RAID 5 or RAID 1.0 or something else. Another challenge was the cable links that came with my PSU. Now I do have the EVGA 1600 watt T2 power supply. One of the great things about this power supply is that it's titanium certified, so it's very power efficient. I went with some custom CableMod cables. It was pretty expensive and it took about 2 weeks to get them because they ship all the way from China, but they're awesome, and I'll show you those in a minute in the build. Another challenge was fan cable mess. This system has 7 case fans. That's a lot. And then 2 fans on the CPU cooler. So overall it has 9 fans. Now the cool thing about the Meshify 2 XL is that it has a built-in fan hub, and I could plug a lot of my PWM fans into that hub. However, a lot of the cables came together in one area at the back of the case, and all of the connectors kind of ended up in the same spot. It really made for a mess. I started off cable tying it, and then I realized, hey, I know how to sew. I've got some great fabrics in the garage, so I went and made a custom cable cover for all my fan covers, and I can show that to you too. So some of the use cases for a system like this: machine learning, deep learning, training the models, it's impressive. Another way I want to use it is for music production. That all comes down to mostly the CPU. So I do a lot of music production in Ableton Live. I like to make my own music. Ableton uses a lot of CPU when recording. It's great to have some extra threads to dedicate to sound capture. Video production, that's an obvious one if you watch much YouTube, if you're into these kind of channels. This AMD Threadripper Pro 32 core monster is amazing for video production. So in Premiere Pro, it is fantastic. Now I'm not an expert Premiere user, but I don't like to wait for anything. And so far, that's been my experience with this system. Compiling source code is another great use case of this. Linus Torvalds himself uses a Threadripper to compile the Linux kernel. I have that same system here. It's a Threadripper Pro, but it has basically the same cores as a Threadripper, and I'm able to compile pretty much anything I want to at breakneck speeds. Another use case is gaming. I still like to game. I play Cyberpunk and Battlefield and some other games as well. Now I have another gaming computer over here, but it's nice just to be able to do it on my desktop here, not on the TV back there. So sometimes I can use it for gaming, and it works pretty well for that. Finally, mining Ethereum. I did mine Ethereum on a version of this rig for about a month, and it was very profitable. Now I worry about harming my cards in the long run, especially these expensive For the Win 3 3090 Ultras. I don't want to damage those cards. I'd like them to last for a while. So obviously it's hard to get GPUs, it's hard to get CPUs. I'm fortunate enough to have a great local computer store, Central Computers, where I bought most of these parts. They have great prices. I was able to get most of this stuff cheaper than on Amazon, and it was available for me to go walk into the store and pick up, including one of the 3090 For the Win Ultra Gamings was there, and I was lucky enough to get one. The final thought is that this is an expensive system. Now I happen to be a computer enthusiast, so it's not just about having this for professional reasons. I also really enjoy having a computer like this. For me, it's equivalent to being a car guy. This is my car. This is my hobby. This is something I enjoy. Just if it sat here and I only turned it on and looked at it, it would excite me for that reason alone. I'm excited about just having a really cool computer.